Jessica Tracy. I'm a veterinarian here at Desert Veterinary Clinic. I am originally from, I guess you could say I'm from Tennessee. I've spent most of my life there. I went to school at Mississippi State, which is not the University of Mississippi, and that's in Starkville, Mississippi. And after I've lived most of my life on the East Coast, I decided I wanted to go out west. I went to Casper, Wyoming and practiced about 14 months out there. I did large animal as well as small animal out there. And about this third bout of hypothermia, I decided, why don't I try somewhere a little bit warmer? And so I looked at moving to the desert because I've always wanted to live in Arizona. And that's how I ended up in Yuma about 16 months ago. I've never wanted to be anything else. This is my life calling ever since as long as I can remember. And despite everyone telling me, you know, how hard it was and how difficult it was, and the hours and everything else like that, I just knew this was the only thing I ever wanted to do. There's new things every day, there's things that challenge you, there's things that test you, there's things that make you wonder, wonder about people and everything else as far as all that goes. But in the end of the day, you just see so many wonderful things and so many wonderful owners and pets and everything else like that, that you can't help but love what you do every single day. You get frustrated, you get exhausted, but this is an amazing profession, and you are allowed to do so. I mean, we get to do surgery, we get to do general medicine, we get to do internal medicine, and this is the only profession that I know of that we get to do multiple animals, multiple everything, all times of the day. So most of us here, we tend to have a little bit of a menagerie. I have a horse, his name is Gryffindor. He just recently got down from Wyoming. This is Gryffindor. He is a 7-year-old gelding, which means that he is a neutered male horse. They have special names for everything in the horse world. So he's what they call a black and white paint. Some people call him a medicine hat paint because he has this black spot up here. He has a spot on his chest. A lot of Native Americans supposedly like to ride these guys into battle because they would protect them from the head and the shield on the chest. So they have a little bit of lore behind them and their coloring, so that's pretty neat about him. He's my first horse ever. I got him when I lived in Wyoming. He was actually a little bit of a neglect case. His first owners just wanted him for his pretty color. You can tell he is gorgeous and he knows it. That's his little attitude problem. And so they were just going to stud him out or use him for breeding. But then they had too many horses, and when the economy crashed they needed to sell him. So a friend of mine ended up buying him for cheap, trained him a little bit, and he's what we call green broke, meaning that he's not 100% trained yet. So you kind of take your life in your hands sometimes when you get on top of him, but that's what makes it exciting, I suppose. He's doing pretty well in the heat, so I think he doesn't miss the snow. I have a blue heeler, or a Queensland heeler. Her name is Jada. She's about 6 years old. And I have Kodak, who's about 3.5 or 4, and he's a mixed Cocker Spaniel mix. He's pretty darn adorable. And then I have Dolly, who's an 8-year-old Dalmatian. And every single one of them are rescues that came from a really sad background and had a lot going against them. So I definitely tend to suggest that if at all possible, adoption first, because it's pretty tough when we know they lose homes that way. I have 4 cats, all of which were rescues as well. Dingo, Slippers, we got in Wyoming, then there's Dingo and Adonis and Didgeridoo. And I also have a foster kitty that should be finding a new home pretty soon once we get him neutered. We've had everything from chinchillas to geckos and things like that, but right now we're just the dog and cats, and apparently horse type. It's quite a zoo, it's quite an adventure every day. So once they take care of animals all day, I get to come home and enjoy mine as well. And a horse, but he doesn't stay in the house, luckily. You know, a lot of people see the cute puppies and kittens, and that is part of it, and we do get lucky to have that, but it's very emotionally trying and everything else like that, especially your first couple years out. But the feeling that you get when you just have some of those cases, that's something that you always keep with you. And so that's what has to outdo all the fears and uncertainties of what next and what if I'm not able to help this patient. But we have good stories too, and that's why we do it.
She has had a swollen toe for 3 weeks, I think, and which hasn't resolved with